Robert J. Conley coming to you live. You can't fix this, and be glad you can't. Um, she takes everything literally. His head is always in the clouds. She always talking. She's always talking theoretically. Can never talk facts. Hey, how about you don't have much choice about that? What we know from 50, 60, 70 years of studying personality types is that we all have a preference for either abstract or concrete speech. And we drive each other nuts about it. So, um, the, the the fact of the matter is that whether it's business partners or dating, marriage, we are inherently attracted to our opposites. And it's almost like two pieces of a jigsaw puzzle filling in for each other's differences. But here's the thing: is it's really fun and interesting at the start, and barring understanding and respecting of this difference, it can really grate and wear on a relationship, whether it's business, personal, it doesn't matter. This dynamic can really wear thin. And so, the rub comes from different sources. So there's these underlying reasons. Remember, these four things that there are four things that the four tribes, the four temperament groups are seeking. So one is seeking knowledge, one is seeking identity, one is seeking excitement, and another is seeking security. And so, that undergirds this difference between abstract and concrete speech. And so there's that going on. And then there's a desire for solutions that the other party may or may not be able to provide. So, like when you look at someone who's seeking security, somebody who's seeking security, you can just intuitively figure they want real answers. They want concrete, observable things to do or to whatever. And someone who is seeking identity, that very notion is abstract, and it's something that is meaningful to the identity seekers, but not necessarily to those around them. So, the like, especially I'll put it in business terms, that almost all great businesses are founded by these complementary partnerships. Mr. Visionary, gregarious outside, Ms. Gregarious, visionary outside, and then Mr. Inside, Mr. Operations, Mr. Mind the Mint, make sure the processes are getting done, the goods are getting shipped out the door. And yet, even though there are these complementary skill sets and temperament and all these things coming to the table, there still is an ongoing tension that, if not understood, can be fatiguing and can be destructive to any of the relationships, whether personal or business. And so I'm going to give you three quick examples. And the reason for sharing this is that I'm of the belief that if you can understand that this is going on, that it is part of your fundamental makeup and the other person's fundamental makeup, and that you can take the proverbial breath and appreciate that each of you bring completely different things to the relationship, that when you work together, it's incredibly powerful, but it can also be very hard to keep working together. And so, the whole thing of self-awareness, taking the pause, taking the breath. So, the first one is just the one of the visionary who speaks in generalities. And I always laugh at myself when I bring this up, but the guy is just such a visible example. It's just so easy to see. when Donald Trump was president, he would speak in these visionary, abstract ways that would drive the fact finders nuts. Because in one way of saying it is that like he would be directionally accurate, and you can challenge me on that. I don't care. but, but the bottom line is that he is an abstract speaker, and what you could see is that absolutely half of the population would have their hair on fire because that's good. Should remember to turn the alarms off before I start this thing. um, but they, so the fact finder is looking for the visionary to generate specifics, and when you start to realize that the visionary isn't that skilled at coming up with the specifics. And so what the fact finder brings to the table is the fact finderness, and for making things real and for making things concrete and making them actually possible to happen in the real world. And so the when we realize that when the visionary can have the patience to answer the questions, the details, the concreteness of the fact finders questions, and the fact finder can appreciate that visionaries create new opportunities, they start new businesses, they are the creative people of the universe. And so when we have to, it may have sounded a little bit putting them on a little too high of a pedestal, but still so there's this valuable place. And so when we can stay engaged and be patient with each other and say, hey, I bring facts to the table, you bring if it's the fact finder talking, you bring your malarkey to the table. But to see the good and to cooperate and to stay engaged, you can start having a positive impact. All right, next example is a growing company. Growing company, again, it's founded by a visionary. Visionary's just out to conquer the world, and is not necessarily reality based, feet on the ground. What's the need of every growing company? It's cash. And so one of the dynamics is that we'll keep calling her the fact finder, or him. Well, this time we'll say he's the fact finder, she's the visionary. And so the visionary is focused on the world outside, on growing the market. And the CFO, the fact finder, typically has a metabolism that all they can see are the concrete facts. They can see the balance sheet, they can see the cash flow, they can see these things, and that's making them nervous. And visionaries I've worked with, I have yet to meet one who fully understands how much stress that causes the fact finders. And so the inclination of the fact finder is to shut the company down. Let's stop doing this. I can't take this uncertainty. I need concrete evidence that this is going to happen. And in the meantime, the visionary thinks they're making it by sharing their vision and keep talking about how great the future is. And all the fact finder hears is blah, 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 bull crap, bull crap, bull crap. I can't see it, so I'm not sure what's going on. And the big shift in this dynamic is it's hard work on both sides. I think it's harder for the fact finder, but the fact finder has to stay committed to the mission, to the vision, and say, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we have our provisions, that we have our lines of credit, that we have our, B round, that we have whatever it is that keeps that company running. The commitment is to keep the company running, not to shut it down. The lenders and all the other people, they'll shut it down without any problem. So you need, the people inside need to be fully committed to the mission and fully committed to making things happen. And then the other part of that is the visionary has to do everything within her power to be realistic, to be focused, and to take on, to actually take her vision and apply it to the most concrete, most tangible things that can be done right now. And so it's a tough one. I mean, it's, obviously it's tough, but when when we can start, in my experience, when we can start seeing this as just a fundamental wiring, fundamental personality type thing. We're not, because there's an inclination to try to fix that person or say, calm down or stop worrying or whatever. And it's like, nope, that's not a solution. That doesn't work. We need to each come from our commitment to keep feeding the horses and to keep giving the direction for the wagon train to go. Yeah, how you like that? I just threw an old Western out of the blue. I just threw an old Western metaphor out there. All right, last one. This is in personal relationships. So, uh, you're entering a new relationship and you're about to go on your first trip. Buckle up. And the head in the clouds, the cloud grazer, as I call him, hey, we're gonna have a great time. And the fact finder's like, well, what are we gonna do? When are we going? What's our itinerary? What's the schedule? Cloud Grazer's like, oh, well, when I said we're gonna have a good time, I mean, we're just gonna just enjoy being with each other, and we're just gonna go with the flow, and it's just blah blah blah, and it's clouds. It's a vision for what it's gonna be like, and the fact finder is going, okay, I've got to pack. I'm gonna start packing. We're going in a week and a half. Okay, I better start packing tomorrow. I need my list. I need this, and this, and here's where you can have, and this is where kind of you figure out the relationship's going to work when you appreciate what each one brings to the table. So in this case, the cloud grazer is bringing mood, is bringing fun, is bringing adventure, and the fact finder is bringing diligence and schedule and itinerary, and you need both. And you can, you negotiate for how tight one is or the other. You negotiate for what that exactly looks like. But if you have this self-awareness, you stand back, you take the proverbial breath and go, oh, wow, okay, this is what this person brings to this adventure. Because the cloud grazer is likely to go, wow, you are such a bummer. I mean, I can't believe how much, why do you need all this stuff, all these facts? And the planner, the fact finder is equally frustrated because it just feels like they're going to drive over the edge of a cliff. There's no structure to this thing. And so when you embrace what each other brings to the table, it becomes powerful. And that's where the differences start to really add up to synergy. Now, given all this and self-awareness and the decision to focus on the strengths of each other, and here's what she brings to the table, here's what he brings to the table, or business, here's what the two partners bring to the table. Be at peace that there will always be a tension, and that tension is what makes you better. You don't want to cross that tension into where the cable snaps. But when you have, it's that whole thing of a performance level of tension, very light. When I say tension, I don't mean tense. I mean, just, the rope is tight. You're making each other better. And so the cloud grazers need the fact finders in order to not find themselves out in a field with no food and no water. And the fact finders need to have someone who sees what they can't see as the possibility of fun, as the possibility of a good time without facts, and to embrace each other, appreciate each other, and keep moving forward. I'm Robert J. Conley, and I hope this helps you with any relationships you're in. Take care.